Central Marks Department has brought up two new guidelines for the BIS certification license holders. And I am Josal from Bureau of Indian Standards, Chennai branch office 1. I am here to discuss you about the guideline number 1, that is the CMD guideline dated 20th of December 2021. It is talking about the guideline for non-conformity of products and observed during operation of a license, including product recall, revocation of suspension, and cancellation related to that. So I am here to explain to you about the guideline. This guideline is specific to non-conformity of products and related to the product recall and suspension and revocation of suspension, as well as for the cancellation. So I am just going to give you a small brief about the details mentioned in the guideline. You know, there are situations like BIS during an operation of a license, there will be number of surveillance done by BIS officers, and it can be through a can be through a factory visit surveillance, or it can be through a market surveillance. So during this process of surveillance, we do draw the sample for third party testing, right? The product will be drawn and sealed and send it to a third party testing laboratory to evaluate the product quality as per the respective standard. This guideline is applicable for the ISA mark scheme, that is scheme 1, and it is for the manufacturers in India as well as manufacturers FMCD, that is Foreign Manufacturer Certification Department, whoever is having a ISA marking scheme, right? So here the product drawn and sent it to a testing laboratory. Later the test reports, again it will come through the online system. It is everything is through online, so there is no intervention of hard copies. So we do get the test report through an online system. Once the test report is received by BIS, what is the steps followed in BIS is that the first part is that evaluation of the test report. What you do, the report will be evaluated with respect to the requirements. You know what is a requirement? The specified values mentioned in the standard is a requirement. There can be limits like maximum, minimum, or it can be a range, or the standard is talking about some referred standards, or everything is mentioned in the standard and product manual of the respective IS. So here the sample will be evaluated by the BIS officials, and if there is a non-conformity observed, what happens? What is the steps involved here? I am going to explain to you. Then what we'll do, if there is a non-conformity observed during the evaluation of the report, this will be recorded as a failure of the sample, or we call it as non-compliance or non-conformity. And again, after recording as non-conformity, BIS is now, as per the new guidelines, has to carry out a what we call risk assessment. We call it as a risk assessment. Why we do the risk assessment? Because the product you are marking and sending and dispatching to the market without waiting for the test reports. So in case of any non-conformity occurs, of the particular batch which has been already dispatched and it has been already gone to the market for consumption, and during the process of risk assessment evaluation, what BIS is doing is now we ascertain whether this is for any factors related to safety or performance, whether this failure is affecting a safety or is it performance of the product. So when we talk about non-conformity means not meeting the requirement of the standard. In this case, again we also look into the labeling also one of the requirement. As per the standard, the product need to be marked as per the standard. That means the grade, variety, batch number, date of manufacturing, and with respect to the respective standard. For example, in the case of cables, the size, variety, grade, and code of the cable, everything has to be marked. Suppose these informations are not there, then the laboratory can't carry out the test. So labeling, there is a missing. For example, you are not marked the grade or variety, then it will be treated also as a non-conformity as per the new guideline. And now we are talking about the risk assessment. analysis. A non-conformity product has come to us, then it will be evaluated for any public safety or health concern issues are there or not, and then we do ask you for a issuance of a non-issuance of a product recall notice. That is, the product will be asked to whether can we withdraw the product from the market or not. That a recall notice will be issued the licensee. Why there should be a notice? Because there are certain products which are already consumed, or there are certain products it might have been not having any kind of risk. I'll tell you a small example. In the case of electrical cable, fluxing test is there for the flexible cord, right? And this fluxing test is done at the rated current. For example, 6 amps or 16 amps is the rated current. This test will be done and carried out at the 16 amps current at a fluxing of say 10,000 or 15,000 of cycle, and the sample is not conforming the requirement, and we received a failure report. Then we do write a letter to what you call risk notice, product recall notice to the licensee, asking you that whether this product can be recalled or not. Please confirm. Why? Because this product may be used for some applications where in which the maximum current will be less than 1 amps. For example, if it is meant for a fluxing cord, power cord, and if you would have used not for that purpose, like it is for a not for a portable appliances, it would have been used for a food mixer, which is not at all moving at all. So there is no risk of fluxing, right? So fluxing will come when there is a juicer or blender. You will be always handling when it is current carrying, when it is in load, you will be moving around. Then the fluxing is a risk involved. Whereas the application is not that way, then the risk is not there. So this query will be raised to the licensee to confirm the risk notice through a product recall notice. So after feasibility of product recall, we also will be asking the licensee or the license holder to ascertain whether this failure is due to the raw material, poor quality of the raw material. So this is one of the area you have to ascertain, and you have to also identify the hazards, like what type of hazards it will cause, like is it a chemical hazard or biological, or is it a radiation kind of hazard. Then it has to be identified. Then identify the risk, subject of at risk, that is it risking a human, or is it risking animal, or is it an environmental risk is involved. And also the nature of non-conformity parameters, is it a safety or performance parameters. These are the area the risk analysis is been done. And during the risk assessment, we will also ascertain the potential harm scenario. What is harm? Probability of occurrence of harm. Is it very likely, or is it likely or unlikely or remote? Very likely is near certain to occur. Likely, it is can occur, or unlikely means not likely to occur. Remote, so unlikely to occur. So probability of occurrence of harm. So this is one of the area you have to ascertain. Then severity, that is the consequences of harm. Is it catastrophic? Here catastrophic means nothing but probability of death or disabling or illness, something like that. And seriousness, how serious it is. Severity, then moderate, or it can be either minor. Then this classification of severity you have to ascertain. Then impact of non-conformity on public health and safety. So how much it will impact the public safety, health and safety. And product recall is feasible or not. Then product recall is feasible or not. This information has to be ascertained through a product recall notice. And need of issuance of a product recall notice. Need of issuance of a product recall notice. For example, some situation like a transformers. If the transformer is already got installed, then the product recall is not possible. So some area the product is once used in a circuit, you will not able to recall the product. Only you can always go for a kind of repair, or there is a correction in the system. So here I was talking about the non-conformity. The first non-conformity, if it is no product recall and is required, then you will be getting a notice, and along with the asking you to explain the reason for the non-conformity. And if the failure is of very severe, like it is toxic, or in case of product like food products, the failure is due to some pesticide content or radioactive content, then naturally even the first failure itself will lead to a suspension of license. Otherwise the first failure will not lead to a suspension of license. You will be getting a failure letter, and you have to reply within 15 days if there is a risk notice is attached to that. Otherwise, if it is a voluntary product, you will be getting 30 days time to reply. And these time norms are very, very important to notice here. As per the new guideline, 15 days time, within 15 days no reply comes in case of product recall notice is issued, it will lead to a suspension of the license. And if even after 30 days also no reply comes, it will lead to cancellation of the license. And this non-conformity issue and product recall is now, as per the new guideline, is quite tough unless you don't follow the time norms. So please adhere to the time norms. Now, your product recall notice reply is satisfactory. You are stating that as I recall the product, then what you have to do, you need to collect the evidence for recall of the product from the market. Like you would have sold some cables which is failed in very critical parameters, which is identified as high risk. So you need to withdraw this product from the market, and the evidence for the withdrawal by way of collecting the delivery challan or that kind of bills or whatever fashion you would have dispatched has to be collected. As well as you must have records. You must have records in your factory to say that this much quantity of product has been recalled and it has been recycled or reprocessed or scrapped, whatever it may be. So this is one of the important area. And the satisfactory reply comes, then there will be a visit by BIS to verify the corrective action taken by the licensee with respect to the product recall, what we call the satisfactory corrective actions. Then there will be a continuation of the license. In case the corrective action is not satisfactory, then also it will lead for a suspension. So naturally there is a situation like when you are consecutive failure comes, naturally this will lead to a suspension. Consecutive means there is a reoccurrence, that is first failure is been given notified and you are being given 30 days time and you are taken necessary corrective action. Later again the sample fails in the some other parameters or the same parameters, we treat as a consecutive failure. And consecutive failure also will lead to suspension of license. Any suspension of license, again the entire process of risk assessment will be carried out by BIS, and we will ask you to carry out the root cause analysis. Root cause analysis, you need to evaluate start from your purchase of raw material, your test records, and your instruments, whether it has been calibrated properly or it has been properly handled, the competence of the personnel, as well as where you dispatch the product. Because this product recall notice, once it comes to you, the product might have, by the time it would have reached the market. So for example, the steel, there is a failure in tensile strength or yield strength, and this steel would have gone to the market, and as far as BIS is concerned, BIS might have evaluated the risk as is severe, and we would have asking you to withdraw from the market, and we would have given you notice. And you can always state, or you can always look into your consignee details, and in case the steel which has gone to the market is not used for any structural purpose, it is used for some railings or kind of fencing purpose, naturally you can always state that the consignee has not used this for any critical usage and there is no risk is involved. So this is there is no kind of recall is required. So that kind of justifiable reply if comes, BIS will always accept. Similarly, in case of your corrective action within 30 days, you state that the product recall process is on and we are ready to complete it, then also there is a BIS will always accept it, and we will also give you time for you to complete the process. But whereas there should be a justifiable reason that as you are unable to complete the product recall process within 30 days, but corrective action reply must reach to BIS within this 30 days. And now all the inspections except surveillance inspection and compliance inspection is chargeable. For example, this failure comes and the verification visit BIS has to plan, it is charged visit. Similarly, and any product recall is issued by BIS, that is your reply is not satisfactory and BIS is advising you to recall the product, it will be going to public domain. That is, we are going to give public alert stating that this particular batch of product is not conforming and public are advised not to consume this product. So that kind of information is been publicized through various BIS website or various medias like that. And similarly, this BIS Care app also it is there. Now BIS Care app is very popular and any consumers can also look into the product details. Like a product is under any kind of issues are there, it will be also published there. So please keep it in mind that it is a very important guidelines, and kindly go through the guideline. The details are available in BIS website, and you are supposed to understand and implement, and it is any kind of time norms is much important here. And I hope I have explained to you to some areas in a nutshell, and there are many more areas you have to touch. There are product specific guidelines are there. Some products are very specific, you need to follow that guidelines also, and product manual also is a to be considered during this product recall. So I hope you are enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching this video.